welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joined today for the Better Business Bureau here in the Wisconsin chapter. Our friend Tiffany Schultz is back, and she's brought us the biggest report of all, the 2023 Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker Risk Report highlights. Let's sneak the highlights in there at the end. Tiffany, how are you doing today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Wow. Very interesting data that we're going to go over today. And this report breaks down that we're going to look at the top 5 riskiest scams reported by consumers. This report and everything collected, though, this is from the BBB.
This is nationwide data collected from our BBB Scam Tracker tool. You know, every time I've been in here, I always say, report it to Scam Tracker, report it to Scam Tracker. We need you to report scams to Scam Tracker, so A, that we know about it and we can get the information out to consumers, but also to wrap up what the top scams were the year before. So keep in mind that it's early 2024, it's National Consumer Protection Week, and we released this data on the top scams based on the prior year.
All right, we're going to jump right into it. At number 5, romance scams. Is it a surprise that that's up?
It's not really a surprise that it's up. Romance scams typically target an older audience and stem from an email or a phone call, even a text message. And the person on the other line or on the dating platform, that if it's a scammer, they'll reach out and start a relationship with an individual. And these things tend to go on over time, and they start asking for money. Sometimes it's a small amount of money, and why wouldn't you help the person out that you're starting a relationship with? Maybe it's for groceries and it goes to car repairs. Some of these romance scams are finding their way into the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin categories that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Interesting data point here, though. $3,600 reported median loss, and this quadrupled from 2022 to 2023. I remember when we first presented some of this, not just with you, with DadCap, or just on this show. I always thought, oh, this is around February. But this is a year round. Like it's pretty impressive numbers there.
And these relationships develop over time too. So the amount of money that you've given the person that you so-called love, of course it's going to be more and more as they keep asking for it. And going into that cryptocurrency world and the Bitcoin world where these scammers are getting smart, because these cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is an untraceable form of payment. So once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, don't like it. And we'll get to some more crypto here in just a minute. Home improvement scams come in at number 4. Not surprising in the fact that a lot of people remodeled, a lot of people did a lot of home improvement stuff, but that gives way, as you've told us many times, when it's popular and it's happening, that's when the scammers go after it.
I've always talked about those people who are knocking on your door. I'm doing a job for your neighbor down the road, or the roofing scammer who comes by after a storm. Not necessarily all of those. I mean, they're obviously part of that group, but any contractor that you hire, you should be doing your homework on them. Check them out. Make sure that they're BBB accredited. You want to make sure that you're doing business with a legitimate company before you hire a home improvement contractor to do work on your home.
Yeah, you don't want to get find out that it's no warranty, more problems, whatever else that you can come up with. So do your homework is a common theme in this when we do interviews here, but that one stands out. Online purchase scams come in at number 3. It's moving down the list, which you'd think more people are doing more online shopping, but maybe we're getting a little bit smarter.
This one was a surprise because online purchase scams have taken the top spot since COVID. And to see it drop from number 1 to number 3 was really interesting. However, when these top scams are calculated, it's based on an algorithm, and part of it is the dollars lost. So it's really important to note that the online purchase scams are still in the top 3, and we can't let our guard down because there's still fake websites out there. We still need to be really careful with who we're buying from. And, we've always talked about pay with a credit card, not a debit card. So keep paying with that credit card. Keep checking out those websites. Make sure they're legitimate before you place an order.
Absolutely, yeah. That's key. It's just key, and that should be just a solid foundation when you're doing the online shopping or purchasing, and homework too. I'm just throwing homework in all of these. This one's surprising. Number 2, employment scams, and maybe it shouldn't be because a lot of people got the opportunity to work from home, maybe, or there's new things out there, but there's so many too good to be true. When I see this, that's what I think of.
We've seen employment scams in the top 3 since COVID, and scammers really jumped on the ball game post-COVID, and they knew that people were looking for jobs and they couldn't interview in person. So scammers do post fake employment ads. And when you're looking for a job, you find an ad, sounds too good to be true, but you go ahead and apply for it anyways. Maybe it's a high salary at an entry-level position. The scammer interviews you virtually. You fill out banking forms with your bank information, your social security number. You may even work for the company for a small amount of time before you figure out that you're working for a scammer. So be really careful with who you're applying for a job with. Make sure that you check with the company itself. Usually companies have their postings on their company website. And be really careful with who you provide your personal information with.
Average median loss on this, almost $2,000. $2,000. And this rose 54% from 22 to 23. That's crazy.
It is. And even if you've worked for this company maybe for a few weeks, you've collected a paycheck for them, and maybe you cashed that paycheck and that paycheck was not legitimate. So, we look at that average loss, and really it's not that high if you consider the type of scam that it is.
Yeah, and I wouldn't necessarily think about reporting that to BBB, but you're reporting the company, right? You're like, I thought I was employed with this company that didn't exist, and you're like, oh man, that's crazy.
Right, it's a company that didn't exist, just like an online retailer that doesn't exist. So do your homework when you're applying for jobs.
She said it. Do your homework, number 2. All right, number 1, investment and cryptocurrency scams. Number 1, wow.
We saw this rise from number 7 last year, and it took the top spot this year. And we have to look at the algorithm of how these are calculated. The average median loss is $3,800 to a cryptocurrency scam. And the number of reports that we received, over 80% of them included loss, which is what propelled this to the top spot. We're seeing those romance scams taking a cryptocurrency angle. Cryptocurrency is becoming more of a normal word in our world. There's Bitcoin machines at gas stations and shopping malls, and it's becoming a more normal thing. Retailers are accepting it. But before we buy cryptocurrency, we need to make sure that we are buying from a legitimate source. It goes back to who are you buying from? Do your homework on it.
It's interesting, and you're right. I mean, it is becoming more common, but the space is still it's just wide open right now, and trying to really wrap your head around what you're doing and it being tied to a lot of the scams that you referred to today. That's a scary place. So for any of these things, you've already mentioned doing the homework. You've mentioned that there's protectors in place, but no matter what you're looking at doing and moving forward, you got to stop. Got to think and got to keep up with the trends. How would you suggest people keep up with the trends besides watching our show? Where we're helping you, but stay up on what's going on.
We have a great resource on bbb.org. We have an entire risk report that's posted for you to take a peek at. Not only does it talk about the information that we had talked about today, but it's going to give you the top 10 broken out by category, age group. I do want to mention that 18 to 24-year-old age group now loses a median average of $155, which is significantly more than any other age group is losing, including our senior group for 65 plus.
That's a startling statistic on its own, because we tied initially, that the elder were being attacked, and giving up information still happening. But 18 to 24, they're out there using these tools. They're out there. They're willing to try it, but maybe the consequences don't know those effects and whatnot. So again, if you haven't checked out the BBB's website, great place to start. And just keep on staying up with these trends. But these 5 areas here, to me, they were definitely a surprise. I'll give you that.
Every year we have a surprise, and one other surprise that we had this year is Amazon always took the top spot, at least last year, for the most impostered organization. Now it's the United States Postal Service. So that was a surprise this year too.
All right, to learn more, again, Tiffany, best place to stay up on this information and to report, so we get it in the report, how they do that.
More information at bbb.org. Report scams to bbb.org/scam tracker.
All right, Tiffany, thank you so much. Great information, and looking forward to reading more into this report.
Thanks for having me.